Our wiener dog, Wally, cannot jump up onto the couch, so today we are going to make him a step, and we're going to use this public bench as inspiration. And today's video is brought to us by Squarespace. I drive past this thing all the time. I absolutely love the shape of it, so we're going to take this as inspiration to make the step for Wally. Let's head back to the shop and have some fun. Normally, I get my wood from KenCraft. Here's a hot tip for you. Check your local estate sales. I got this board for 10 bucks. This is walnut, averages around 13 inches wide, and I think it's 8 feet long. The only problem with this is it's about an inch thick, and by the time we plane it down, it'll probably be under 3/4 of an inch. Usually rough cut wood like this, you want about 1 1/4 inches to get 3/4 inch thickness after planing it down and everything. When you buy wood from unknown sources like I did, you got a little bit more work to do, but you can get the wood sometimes pretty cheap. I got all 7 of these boards for 70 bucks. I have got to plane this down. I think just to make it a little bit more manageable, I'm going to chop it in half, and that makes it easier for me to run it through my machines. Everything that I just said was complete bullshit. I got more than 3/4 inch out of that. I just got lucky, the boards were really flat. I'm gonna have the grain running up and down. That way on the corners, I won't have to do any reinforcement. If I had the grain running long ways, I would have to reinforce those corners and it would make this project a little bit more complicated. I could have used plywood and that would have simplified everything, but not everything needs to be simple. But to keep it simple, to keep it somewhat simple, I'm gonna have the grain running up and down. Before I glue these 2 boards together, I wanna get rid of a little bit of this sapwood, so I got some nice hardy heartwood for the heart of the sides. Hardy heartwood for the heart of the sides is dumb. Because I'm using the track saw, everything that I just did at the joiner, completely unnecessary. If you're new here, you're gonna find that a lot of things are completely unnecessary. So now I'm gonna cut a parallel edge just to make the gluing and clamping a little easier. This is dry, so I'm gonna take them out of the clamps and then rip this down to 16 inches wide. I am going to have all 4 corners angled down so everything is tapered. I use this cool jig to set up my blade angle and my miter angle. I've got a full video on this guy. There are also lookup tables that you can check out and see what these angles should be. When you taper all 4 corners, the angle up top is actually different than the angle on the bottom. I know that sounds weird and confusing. That's because it is. Also, I have my miter fence in backwards because this particular miter fence doesn't come out far enough. We're actually going to fix that, and I am working on building a sliding crosscut sled for my table saw. That video is coming out in about a month or so. I'm getting all the parts that I need. It's kind of complicated. I got these guys right here. It's gonna run on the what do you call linear guide rails. So the whole table is going to move on these linear guide rails, and it's gonna be a whole thing. It's gonna be a super cool build. You're gonna wanna subscribe to check that out. So I've got one angle going this way and then the other angle parallel going this way. That is not how it's supposed to be. This one should be going in. So it means I have to move my sled over to the other side of the blade and set up a stop over there because this ain't gonna work. So now this is gonna be a little bit smaller than originally planned. But that's what happens when you work without plans. Rule 4, everything is an experiment. I taped this up just to see if this would work, and Daniel was like, let's record this. And I was like, no, I don't want to record this. I just want to see if it's going to work. I wanted to see if I totally failed, and it worked. And then I was like, we should have recorded that. But anyway, I taped it up just to see if it would work. It's looking good. The top and the bottom is at a weird angle. So I gotta rip all these pieces through the table saw to get this flat, so the top will sit on here flat. Oh, also, I gotta do that little whoop whoop, that little whoop whoop. Can I get a whoop whoop? Can I get a whoop? I've got my digital angle gauge on my table saw. I've got that zeroed. So now if I bring this over here and I set this to the side there, and then I bring this up here, all I gotta do is move that until it's 0 and lock that in place. And so then I use this to transfer that angle to the blade. The sitting bench has this little cutaway right there, and it's just decorative. It's only on the front and back. So I'm gonna take a 12-inch sanding disc and use that and trace that on to here. I won't be able to get clamps on there, so we're just gonna use some blue painter's tape. We got long grain to long grain. We don't need to do anything to reinforce these joints. I'm switching to the green tape because it's stretchy, just pulling those joints together. That is dry. I've got a slight little gap here. The way to close that, and this will work with picture frames or anything else with a miter corner, is just get some glue in there. That's way too much. You don't want that much glue in there. And then just take a screwdriver and then just burnish that over and in. No gap. That is looking good. That is done. So now for the top, I need a soft, cushiony. Wiener dogs are sensitive. They're really long. They can get bad back. So I don't want him jumping onto a hard surface. So we're gonna go visit my friend Joanne and get some padding and some fabric for this. We are back from Joanne's. I got some foam and then this mid-century modern style fabric, which I don't think we got it on camera, but the lady who cut the fabric for me did not like this pattern. A little too busy for her. I love it. So we gotta cut a plywood top and then add this. Some of you might not know this, but this wall behind me is my secret hiding spot. This slides open to reveal my wood. Just gonna set our fence to the width of this guy. Cut my foam down to size. So put the foam down, then my board with the rounded edges this way, and then you can follow me for woodworking advice, relationship advice, financial advice, but please do not follow me for upholstery advice. I am the wrong guy. I decided that this was too tall and too mushy, so I went and remade it thinner. Instead of using the foam, I used some batting, so I am stapling that onto this here. So I did some tests and it tapers too much, and when Wally jumps on it, it wants to wobble a little bit. So I went to Home Depot, got a $2 brick, and I'm just going to hot glue that into the bottom. In typical Pachuto fashion, I put the brick in there before I was able to, I got these little angle brackets that will screw onto there and screw onto there. And I was going to go from the bottom and screw that into place, but now the brick is in the way. Ugh. I don't always think things through. I just realized, so I've got the clips on there, and from the bottom, I could then screw this onto there, but now I have no way of getting the brick in there, unless, will it? It might. I might be able to get it in there and twist. Let me screw on the top and see what happens here. Ah, we got it. All right, so if I flip this over right, there we go. Look, we got the brick in there. I'm sitting on the bench that is the inspiration for this project. The point of this video is to try to get inspired by things outside of woodworking. Use other things to just draw inspiration from. And before I show you the finished step, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. I've been using Squarespace for like 10 years, long before they were a sponsor. I enjoy the service. Their templates are absolutely beautiful. I'm using one of their templates that I modified. And after you pick a template, you're not stuck with it. You can change templates down the road. You can also switch out colors and logos and photos easily. You're probably a lot like me, a woodworker, a maker, a metal worker, an artist, somebody sitting on a bench out in the cold. You need a website. You need a place to show off your work. Your image galleries are super easy to use and set up, and you got a ton of choices. You want to create a password protected members only section of your website? Squarespace. Want to have all your social media feeds in one place? Squarespace. It's almost 2023. You need a website. You need a central hub for your business or your side hustle. Visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/make-something for 10% off. There's a leaf blower back there. So visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/make-something for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And let me show you this step. All right, so there it is. The bench and then the step. It's pretty darn good. I'm happy with that.
What the heck is this?
Hey, Wally. Okay.